Alright, so today should be a pretty quick class. All we're doing is reviewing the practice test that we took on Tuesday. In addition to that, I want to discuss a couple things that are coming up in the coming week, tomorrow and then next week, I guess. So first thing, I have my e-class page up here. I know I've done this before, but I want to show you again. Mikhail, you're going to want to pay attention to this. If you go to week 10, what you did on Tuesday, and you click on practice test, like you did on Tuesday, I thought I had changed that. It should say practice test. You have the results from Tuesday. And that's significant because I had about 2 or 3 people who were live in the Zoom session that I did not receive a practice test from. So if that's the case and you want to retake the practice test, well, here is the link. You're only going to be able to do it once. Because you'll be taking it after I've given you the answer. So it's going to be fair to let you do it more than once. Now, as long as I have a score from you here, then you can take it as many times as you like, and I'll take your highest score and I'll average it with the score. Any questions on that? Just basically the practice test scores are up. You can check what you got. I also emailed out to everybody the results, so like the people here in person are getting a handout with the ones I'm about to go over, the ones who missed the most. You probably want to go to your email. If you don't see the last 4 of your ID here, it's because I did not receive a submission from you. So when you go back and retake, get this retake link, you can only do it once. Another thing I wanted to point out is that you may have seen your overall grade go up maybe a point or 2, because I'm getting kind of frustrated here and I'm starting to kind of make up the rules as they go. And I want to I want to keep it clear that I'm not going to just pass people, but at the same time I want you to know that I'm doing like everything. I'm bending myself in as many ways possible to try to get you to where you need to get to. One of the things I decided to do was I went back, not to the practice test, but to the real test, and not to the curve score, to the raw score. And if anybody, like for instance, all of the weekly assignments that correlated to the test 1, if you did better on the test 1 raw score than you did on the assignment, which for most people it's just because they didn't do it, a lot of people aren't doing assignments, then I went in and replaced it with a raw score. Same thing with test 2, and then tomorrow after you take test 3, I'll do the same thing also. I'll take your raw score, and if your raw score is better than any of your weekly assignments, I'll swap those out. I'm trying to do everything I can possibly do to get your grades up, but I don't know what else I can do. Another thing I will do is next Friday, originally, you were supposed to have one of those assignment days where you're working and I'm online with you, and if you need help and stuff. But, I mean, number 1, people aren't really taking, there's only a couple people that are taking advantage of that. But number 2, I needed to try to have a test retake opportunity. So what I did was I made up a test. Now, the thing is, you're going to have to study for this on your own. You're going to have to get all those practice tests that I sent back to you, all those regular tests I sent back to you. You're going to have to look at your notes. I am not going to have an in-class review for it. But next Friday, we will take this test that is made up of questions from the first 3 tests. It will not count as its own grade, meaning that your grade cannot go down. Like I'm not gonna put a column in the grade book for it. But what I will do is, like, let's say Mikhail, I'll use you as an example because you're here in person. Mikhail comes in next Friday, takes this retake test, and gets an 87 on it. And it will be curved. Then I will go back to your first 3 tests, And any test that is less than an 87 will be changed with an 87, for instance. If your score that you get is a 55, then I'll change anything less than a 55 to a 55. But that will only apply to tests, not to anything else. Does that make sense, Esme? Did you follow me at home there? You have a test tomorrow. Tomorrow is test 3. Okay? That's going to go in the grade book like any test note. Next Friday. And now comes next Friday, there's a test that wasn't on my original calendar. And it's going to be a test made up of problems. Like it's going to be everything we've done so far this semester. It's going to be a mix. Almost like a midterm would be. Okay? But instead of making it its own grade in the grade book, that's only going to be used for grade replacement. So like Esme, let's say, and this will be curved, okay? Let's say you come in next week and you get a 90 on it, okay? There's not going to be a brand new slot in the grade book that says retake and you're going to have a 90, but I would go back to all the first 3 tests that you have taken, and anything less than a 90 will be replaced with a 90. So like your grade can only go up. That's going to be next Friday. Yeah. Yeah, it's still warm. Okay, so good, we're ready to go? Alright, so then we don't need to do this anymore. Oh, and by the way, if you're gonna do this, it's due by tonight. It's due by tonight. Normally I give you 2 nights for it, but with the BSAT, we don't have any more time, so, that needs to be done by the night if you're gonna go back and retake it. Okay, so these are the ones missed the most. What type of solid is this? What type of solid is this? I only got like 3 people at home and 2 people here, so somebody's got to speak up. Irma's also here. It is a cylinder, good. And I'll help you out. The formula for volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times the height. Why do you think people would have gotten this one wrong then? Yeah, it's the same thing as we just said. Good. It's because they're giving you a diameter instead of a radius. So when you plug this 33 and you're not really putting 33 and you have to divide 33 by 2 to get the radius, which is 16.5. Now another thing, this could have been an issue if these answers would have been a little bit closer together, but it ended up not being too bad. But that's that they also tell you specifically to use the 3.14 for pi. So in this same step here where we're plugging in the radius and the height, we're also going to plug in 3.14 for pi because the directions tell us to. We're not going to use the pi button. Radius is 16.5 squared, and the height is 3.14 times 16.5 squared. I am getting approximately 26,500.8. These are the exact same problems that will appear on the retake if and when you decide to do it. Did that make it? Irma, why are you dressed for a luau? Because it's what? Hawaiian time? You're kind of in the mood for like the island mood? A cylinder can be treated as if it is a, so we even talked about this. We had talked about, okay, like what solid did we go over at the same time as we did cylinders? What solid did we learn about the same day that we did cylinders? Prism, very good. Prism, because what do prisms and cylinders have in common? They both have two bases. It just happens to be that the base of a cylinder is a circle. So, not that anybody calls it this, but if you were to use that verbiage of a prism, because the bases are circles, what could be the another name for a cylinder? Nobody calls it that, but a cylinder holds all the same characteristics as a circular prism. Like when we're talking about treating, like we're talking about volume, if you were to find the area of one circle, just like you find the area of the base of a prism, and multiply that times the height of the cylinder, we use that example of the CDs, that would also give you the volume of ¿Te gustan los cilindros? ¿No? Los conos. Pyramid. ¿Cómo se dice pyramid en español? Pyramid. Piramida. A prism is named according to the shape of one of its lateral faces. True or false? What is a prism? What is a prism named by? What is everything other than a sphere basically named by? The bases, yeah, the bases. Not the lateral faces, the bases. If you have a pentagon on the base, it's a pentagonal prism. Like here we just use the hypothetical, or if you were to name a cylinder by a prism, it would be a circular prism because the base is a circle. So all prisms are named by the bases. Well, what's the other solid that's named by its bases? Or by, let me rephrase, by its base? A what? What is the other cylinder that is? What's the other cylinder? Sorry, what's the other solid that is named by its base? Not bases, but by its base. Anybody has me? Basically, just you and Mateo. Muhammad and Morgan and Senator. We've only learned about 5 solids, so even if you were to take a guess, I just asked, what's the other solid that gets its name from the type of base? One is a prism. I'm on the board now. So I already told you it's not a sphere. So really, if you were to guess, you have a 33% chance of guessing because there's only 3 solids left that it could be. And I gave you a hint by saying it's named by its base. Not bases, but base. What other solid derives its name from its base? What type of base it has? Actually, we learned about 5 solids. Only 5 solids. Okay? Prisms happen to be one of the ones that get its name from the base. That's why there are rectangular prisms, triangular prisms, pentagonal prisms, whatever. There's hexagonal prism, where the name comes from the type of base it has. There's one other type of solid out of the 5 we learned about where the same thing happens, where you give it a name based on the type of base that it has. I already told you it's not a sphere, so well, see, pyramid is what I was going for, yes. Because there are different types. See, yes, a cone, it is a cone because it has a circle on the bottom, or on the base. A cylinder is a cylinder because of the circle. So I get that part of it, but that's it. Like, it's just called cylinders. It's just called cones. But at least with pyramids, triangular pyramids, rectangular pyramids, square pyramids, different types of pyramids based on the base. So I was just asking you an extra question. Is that Jeanette that just showed up? celebrating the birthday a little early. Hey Jeanette, I talked about a bunch of stuff. I talked about a bunch of stuff on the video before that I'm not gonna go over again, but you're gonna want to go back and listen to the thanks to create and stuff. All right, what type of solid is this? Hey people, the solid is this. It is not a pyramid. Because even though you see triangles, pyramids have the triangles going around laterally, and they have one base. This does not have one base. This has two bases. What type of prism? Very good. It is a triangular prism. Everybody should thank Enemy. Besides that, it's a right triangular prism, which makes it nice because when you have a right triangle, then you can use those two sides as the base and the height. I made this an open note practice test, as will the test tomorrow, so you should have all the formulas there. The formula for a triangular prism is base times height of prism over 2. And all you're doing is plugging actually comes up with 8.5. Ah, no! Oh, your fault. Base times height over 2. This is the height of the prism, and then these two right here are the base and height of the triangle. Doesn't make a difference in the answer. The answer will be the same even if you plug them in the wrong location. So anyways, we're doing 7 times 24 times 8.5 over 2. Probably just put that in the calculator. Divided by 2, and I'm getting this. Jeanette, I sent out the results from this morning, so if you need them to go along with that home, this video will also be available after school. Hey, for the second time in a row, what is this? It is a triangular prism, good, but the difference is here, they're giving you the volume, they want the missing measurement. This measurement is actually considered to be the base of the base, if that makes any sense. Here we have a triangle on the bottom. The height is the segment that makes it at 90 degrees. The base is the side. So we're looking for the same formula we just used. But now we're looking for the little b. If I want to look for little b, I have to have everything else. What's going to go where the v goes, like the v as in Victor? What's going to go there? 315. Good. Equals the little b. And the h is 6. And the height is 5. Remember that the height of this prism is defined as the distance between the two bases. So the bases here are triangles. Those triangles are 5 units. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So I get 315 is equal to 15b. Divide by 15 like they do in the hood. Questions? ¿Alguna duda? Okay, next solid. What type of solid is this? What type of pyramid? Remember pyramid the name about the base? No, Mikhail beat you. Square pyramid. So side square times the height over 3, I believe. I had brain calm this morning. I believe. Yeah, I don't have all of these memorized, so I make mistakes sometimes. So 8 squared times the height, which is 6 over 3. I know 8 squared is 64. I know 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 6 times 64 is 128. What type of solid is this? Hey, Mohammed! Yes, it is. It is a cylinder. And just like the first cylinder that we did, what would throw people off here? Oh, they're working on credit recovery? Good. What do you think would throw people off here? Yeah, they're giving you a diameter. So volume is pi r squared times the height, but I need the radius. That 8 is the diameter. So my radius here is not equal to 4. So we get volume equals 5 times 4 squared times 38. Now another, oh, I think let's have to do this one. Because what I'm looking at are all the pies. On some of these next questions, they didn't put the pies, the people got thrown off by that, but these do have the pies. So 4 squared times 8 is 128. The pies are still there, so 128 pi is 18, ¿alguna duda? ¿Todo bien? Mañana vas a sacar 100%, 200%. Ooh, yeah, I think this might have been the one that's the most. And I have a feeling it was just because everybody saw that last one. Oh, it has to be that. Okay, cone, the cylinder, cone, and sphere have a radius of 10 units and a height of 20 units. Which shape has the greatest? And it's a volume. So, volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times the height. Volume of a cone is pi r squared times the height over 3. Which now you already know that there's no way that can be, but I'll show it to you in this. Volume of a sphere is 4 pi r cubed over 3. Now the weird thing is you're like, wait, but hold on, a sphere doesn't have a height. So how could you say that all of these have a height of 20? Well, I guess what they meant by that is you get a sphere and you have this radius of 10, but then the radius goes in the other direction. Basically, instead of calling it a height, what is it the same as? What is like the height of a sphere the same as? It's like a diameter. Yeah. But anyways, we don't need that. All we need is the radius. So I will just plug into each one and see what we're going to get. So for the first one, for the cylinder, pi times the radius, which is 10, and which is 20, square root of 10. I'll leave everything in terms of pi because we're just comparing and everything has a pi. So if everything has a pi, I don't need to touch the pi. Don't touch the pi. As so 2,000 pi. Now see, the interesting thing is though that this formula is the same thing as the one over there. It's just over 3. So since the measurements haven't changed, this is the same thing as just getting this 2,000 pi and do it again and putting it over 3. And obviously, 2,000 pi is going to be bigger than 2,000 pi over 3. So I know it can't be that one. And if I know it can't be the cone, I know that they can't all be the same either. So it's basically going to be a fight to the death between the cylinder and the sphere. Let's see who wins. Who do you think is going to win today? Who's going to win, the cylinder or the sphere? What do you think, Amici? No sabes. 4 times 10 power 3 equals 4,000 divided by 3. We're not really looking, I mean, it's going to be rounded. We're not looking to be exact. We're just looking to compare. So if I were to leave the pi, I would get about 1333 pi more or less, something around there. So what's bigger, 2,000 or 1333? 1333 is bigger than 2,000? Correct. Jorge is processing the time. You guys know that I got to meet Jorge? Find the volume of a sphere with a diameter of 4 centimeters. All right. Volume of sphere. Volume of sphere. Is 4 pi r cubed over 3. Uh-oh, how could somebody mess this up? There's actually 2 ways that somebody could mess this up. You're going to check the pair of finish. I'm down to the last 4. Yeah, that they're giving you a diameter, that's going to be one cause, right? Because they're giving you a diameter. So really, I need a radius. My radius is not going to be 4, it's going to be 2. That's going to be one issue. And there's one other issue that occurred, which is, what do you not see there in any of those answer choices? What do you see on the formula that you don't see there? Yeah. So that, even though they didn't explicitly tell you to round, the only way you can get those answers is to round. So we're going to have to round. Since they don't say use 3.14, we'll just use the pi button. So 4 pi, 2 cubed over 3. Put it on the calculator. 4 pi times 2 power 3 is like 100.53 number divided by 3. Gives me 33.5. But even though it doesn't round to 33, it's the only one that's close to the could be. So it has to be. Going too fast, let me know. Did any of you guys at home already see the results and you saw which ones you missed and everything? Esme, you're usually pretty good about that. No, but that's not the number. I'm not asking if you actually looked at it. Have they shown up here? Well, if you ever have a question on something that I didn't go over here, you can always either send it to me or just the ones that missed. Find the volume of a cylinder with a radius of 8 feet and a height of 8 feet. So this is pretty basic. This is volume of the cylinder, but they give you everything you need. They give you radius, they give you height. So this is the third time we do this today. Volume pi r squared. Actually, fourth time. Times the height. Pi is there, and then the radius is 8. Cuadrado. And 7. So 8 squared times 7 is 448. So I'm all excited. I'm like, yeah, 448 pi. Well, look, that's got to be the same as this. Because what do you not see there? There's no pi there. There's no pi there. So I mean, kind of like sorry, not sorry. It's sorry that it's not there. And like, they didn't be more specific. But if you don't see a pi there, that means you have treated you. And the calculator, that gives me about 1407.4. The rule could be D by the book. Questions? Okay. This one. Find the volume of a triangular prism there. So luckily they already tell you it's a triangular prism. All you gotta do is look up that formula, which you already saw today. Base times height over 2. Even though this triangle is not a right triangle, they are giving you a base and a height that meet at 90 degrees, which is important. So this is just a substitution. No need to round here. Just plug in. So 4 times 7 times 9 over 2. What is that? 2 times 7 times 9. So is that 126? I'm getting in my head. Now Mohammed calculator board. We have a calculator man. Anthony wants to be calculator girl. Last one. The start of the pyramid age began with King Zoser's pyramid, erected in the 27th century BC. In its original state, it stood 62 meters high with a rectangular base that measured 140 meters by 118 meters. Find the volume of the original pyramid. So at least they're telling you that it's a rectangular pyramid. So you need the volume for that one. Volume of a rectangular pyramid is times the height of the base times the rectangle times the height of the pyramid. Should be only 3 of them. So the base times height of the rectangle, this one you would definitely need to calculate for 140 times 118 times the height, which is 62. Almost 3. Just knock yourself out into the calculator. Courtney, do you have a calculator now? And you gotta be also careful because this one was really hard to read. Even I had to I said my eyes started like straddling. The answer that you get, like these 2 here are very similar looking. You have to look really close at the calculator. Look at the first 3 digits. 3, 4, 1. In a rush, you're gonna pick up. Does anybody have any further questions for me? I did look this morning at the Delta Math for week 10. I asked you yesterday, since we did not meet as a class, I asked you guys to work on it. And yes, a handful of people have worked on it. Nobody's finished it. But of course, like I said earlier today, not many people are doing the assignment. So, Jeanette, if you go back and watch the video, I told you what I mentioned on the video, what I'm going to start doing with assignments. Just know that I'm doing everything. Like, I'm not going to give anybody a grade, but I'm doing everything I can possibly do to rationalize being, let's say, student friendly. There's not much more I can do. So, but anyway, if you're going to do the practice test is due by tonight. We have the real test tomorrow. And the homework for week 10 will be due by Sunday. Next week, we'll start a new unit. But on Friday, we'll also have a review test for the first 3 tests. We'll talk more about that later. Any questions? Jorgito, any questions? All right, man. Nice talking to you. We'll see you tomorrow, Jorge. I heard. All right, man. Those of you that are at home are dismissed. The people here, we only got 15 minutes out. I'm not sure what you can do in 15 minutes, but knock yourself out.